Hello, welcome back to Camus Classics. On our filming of tearing the car apart, we had some audio issues. So you're going to get the video and we'll just have to do some voiceovers of what we're doing. So if the sound doesn't match what we're saying, you'll know why. Thank you.
We are just going to cut the exhaust in half to make it more manageable. This is not an issue since we will not be reusing any of it. The current exhaust is a 2-inch exhaust with several leaks, and we will be installing a 2.5-inch exhaust. As with most work, there is always something more that you don't think about. In this case, there is a bolt that holds a hanger to keep the exhaust in place between the leaf springs and the quarter panel. As you can see, we got a little aggressive pulling the exhaust out and broke the welds on the mounting tab for the brake lines. We will carefully weld it back on. There's not a lot of room to get tools in to get the top bolt out. As you can see, we're struggling a little bit. We'll get it out and then we can move on. I want to show you the leaking reasons why we are replacing the exhaust. Of course, there are performance reasons as well, but the main reason was the leaking. There was no gasket between the headers and the collector reducer. This was leak point number 1. There also was large gaps where the pipe and reducer connect and where the pipes were connected to the mufflers. We were ready to remove the tank. Because we knew we were going to be doing this job, we ran it down to just a couple of gallons left in the tank. If there would have been more, we would have had to have siphoned it out or pumped it out with an electric fuel pump. But since we knew we were going to do it, we just ran the gas out. that we have the tank down, we need to disconnect the fuel lines and remove some wires. One wire is for the fuel gauge, so we need to keep it and save it because we'll have to reuse that on our other tank. The other one is just ground, so we can cut it and replace it and probably run it to a new grounding point. So somebody should have been holding the tank. It was set precariously on the lift and should have been better supported. We were just lucky that there wasn't much gas in it, that we didn't make a big mess everywhere, that nobody got hurt. We're going to remove the straps since our EFI tank came with new ones. They were in good enough shape that we could have been reused, but since we have new ones, we'll use them. It'll just make for a much cleaner and nicer installation. As with most people I know, we have a hard time keeping track of our tools and a hard time holding on to them. We're always looking for the tool we just had 10 minutes ago. So you can see how small the 7.5-10 bolt is, and the reason we need to replace it. It's just so small that it's not going to hold up for very long to the amount of power that this engine transmission combo puts out, especially if we change to a 5-speed. We purchased these lift lights because it can be difficult to see under the car. They are magnetic LED lights. So they're also nice if you need to get light into an area because you can just peel them up and use them. When done, you just hook them back to the lift via the magnets. In removing the fuel lines, there are a couple bolts to remove and then just unsnap them out of the clips. The fuel lines run up the passenger side, cross over to the driver's side, and into the fuel pump. Since we will not be reusing the fuel line, we'll use this little tubing cutter from Home Depot. This is a handy tool to have because it can fit into tight spaces, makes quick work of cutting the fuel lines in half, so we can easily get them out. The last step is to remove the fuel line from the fuel pump, and then we'll have to fight it out because it kind of weaves in and out of the frame. Since we are going electronic fuel injection, we don't need a mechanical fuel pump, so we will be using a block-off plate. We can show you that to you in a later clip. That, for the most part, finishes up or under the car portion. We still have the headers, but they will most likely be a combination of above and below the car. We know there's a little bit of work to get them out, so they will be in a future clip.